Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Kind of excited today to be casting Sharp. I feel like I haven't been seeing many Sharp games lately. Because Sharp has been like my personal favorite Terran player for probably 5-6 years now. But more recently, like that meme with the guy with holding the hand of the girl and looking at another girl, that one. I've been doing that with Sharp and Speed. Speed plays so many games on the ladder. It's so easy to find great Speed games, and his style is kind of similar to Sharp's, which is really appealing, and he's also trying a lot of new stuff, and he's just like a new face in the scene. So I feel like a lot of the games I've been seeing and watching and casting lately have been his, as opposed to Sharp, who I feel like I feel like I'm cheating on him or something. But he's such a great player. Very, very excited to be casting one of his games here, and of course seeing him participate in ASL again this season. His opponent, going to be cross-spawn here, a Protoss player. It is nOOB. nOOB, obviously a pretty well-known Protoss, has been in ASL, and, just a strong player overall. You would probably favor Sharp here, but you never know how it'll go down. We're on Deja Vu, which I think... it's a little bit hard for Terran versus Protoss. It's just like the fourth base can be really, really tricky to take. And if Protoss gets a bit of a tempo advantage, it can be really difficult to push into a strong position. Now, actually, this is... I think I was talking about this a few days ago. And in fact, I think it was a Speed Terran versus Protoss that I was talking about in. Notice how he's going for a gasless expansion. And I think I spoke about it for a few minutes, so forgive me, but I'll just go over it real quick. On maps, like on 12 base maps like this, 4-player 12 base maps, you only have a quadrant of 3 bases, and it's harder to take the fourth. I had literally just said that. But that makes things like gasless expand a little bit better build order choice a lot of the time, because you're trading early... interactions in which you might be able to outplay your opponent, or you might not, for a stronger mid-game unit presence, which means you're more able to push into a strong location like here, let's say. If you're holding here, suddenly maybe you can take this as a fourth, maybe you can take this as a fourth, but you have more options. So for a map like Deja Vu, I think that this is a very smart build order. And I feel like the Protoss players don't necessarily... get that right now, because I don't see anyone... Well, that's not completely fair. Maybe we'll see it in like a tournament like ASL, but I think if you're playing PvT here, you should occasionally mix in something like a quick zealot, like from a forward gate, to try to catch things like this. But the thing is, like, let's say you do that and they do this and the bunker's already up when you get there, suddenly that zealot might put you a little bit behind. So, there's obviously risk and reward in each direction. Anyways, enough of that. Sharp did do an end scout, and we'll find nOOB last. nOOB is not going for range. He's scouting around with the Dragoon, scouted with the probe a bit, and the Robo gets started. Second Dragoon going to try to catch this, but he will be able to see the Robo. So this is a great scout by Sharp. Excuse me. Like that scout by Sharp. And in fact, that's kind of interesting, because the end scout is what allowed him to get in. I just want to throw that out there, because if you box scout, you run into this Dragoon down here a lot of the time. Anyways, the probe went to the other base. This is actually something I just recognized that I actually wasn't aware of before. Because end scout is normally to catch close spawn Nexus first. Obviously, that's not something you would have punished this game anyways, but, like, that allowed him to slip in and see the Robo. And that's actually a really big deal, because as soon as you see the Robo, you know that you don't need detection. So you can just skimp on stuff all over the place. So right now, a third Nexus gets started immediately. I really like this play from nOOB. Yeah, and It looks like we're just going to get up into like a standard kind of macro-esque position. Like, it doesn't feel like anyone has big potential for damage or anything. Like, we do see that it's going to be like a 2 to 3 siege tank push. Let's see if he makes a third tank. Just waiting for the gas, I think, here. Yeah. So this is a pretty standard play from Sharp. Like, you go 3 siege tanks, you go vulture speed, vulture mines. You push out, you bring your Marines, you bring your tanks, maybe you bring an SCV. And you kind of push, and then you run around with vultures, and you see what you can get done. You know, once upon a time, this could, like, kill a Protoss player. It basically never does anymore, but it's still a good little pressure to put out there. It can give you a lot of intel. Sometimes you can get a little bit of damage. Like, especially with Sharp. He's the type of player who will push out with this, and maybe be able to, like, you know, bring the goons here, and the vultures slip in down here, get a few probe kills, that type of thing. And of course, if you catch your opponent being really, really greedy, sometimes you can get it done. Now, he leaves 1 Marine in the bunker, which is really smart, because 0 Marines in the bunker is garbage, and he doesn't want to make more Marines. And leaving 1 out of this push doesn't necessarily make it that much weaker. Now, he starts to walk to the south, but sees the Observer immediately. If you can get out there before the Observer, that's actually where sometimes you do get a lot of damage with it, is if the Observer just randomly misses you, and then Protoss is way out of position. But with the Observer following him, you can see he's just kind of adjusting where he's walking. He doesn't know where the Protoss army is exactly right now. He does have some vultures kind of rotating around. So it looks like, okay, this is the idea from Sharp. See this? The vultures, okay, they try to run in. He sees the goons are here. So now this is coming down. I think he's just going to turn around. But I think the idea here was, because the Observer was following these tanks, he was bringing them around this way to get the goons to move up to engage, and then the vultures to run this way. So when you saw him run that way and get nothing done, that was him hoping that the Dragoons were on their way up to meet the tanks. So this was actually a very smart move from Sharp, but nOOB did not fall for it. But that was really good. Like, those are the types of moves. That's why, like, Sharp, you know, when I'm, like, let's say Taste and I are casting Sharp, I'll oftentimes be like, well, you know, the thing about Sharp is he'll just get vultures in, and you don't know how or why. You know, like, so many times Protoss will be, like, defending really well, and players won't be able to slip in vultures. He gets them in a lot, and it's because of great moves like that. So very, very high IQ move. Doesn't work out. Great blocking there from nOOB. Now, Reaver on the way. Speed shuttle as well. 3rd command center on location off of 2 factories. You know, he's got these vultures out on the map with their speed upgrade. He's got siege. He's making a few turrets here and there. This does feel a bit greedy. I'm not gonna lie. That does feel a bit greedy. And in fact, Armory, Academy. The thing is, Sharp is very good at this type of thing, where he'll throw down the 3rd on location and utilize things like map activity to keep Protoss back long enough that he has enough to block. Like, this is one of Sharp's superpowers. 4th Nexus gets started by nOOB. I tell you, nOOB is actually putting out a great game. This is, like, the next thing I would have been talking about here is, like, okay, he really needs to get a 4th and think about a 5th base. But the thing is, because this is a gasless expansion, we see the factory explosion happening now. If nOOB throws down that 5th base, which, again, I think he probably should, there is possibly going to be a timing attack that Sharp can hit. Double Forge is up. 2nd Robo on the way. That was a great scan. To see Double Forge, 2 Reavers, the shuttle waiting, so he knows shuttle speed's going to be finishing, and a 2nd Robo, he knows exactly what he's playing against. So he's going to have to really watch out. Look. I love it. I love this game. Like, I was going to say, he has to look out for, you know, the drop harassment, and immediately he's throwing down additional missile turrets. Because he knows that, like, this is what nOOB's game plan is to disrupt his economy. So if Sharp can just stop the economy disruption and then just macro really cleanly, this can turn into a good position for him. But I think nOOB is playing amazingly here. He's actually playing better than a lot of the top pros, I feel like. How oftentimes am I talking about, like, oh, like, this is a perfect situation for a 5th base, and, like, top pros will just sit on 4 base for another 3 minutes, then make the Nexus. Like, this is well timed. Will it work out for him? Of course, we never know the answer to that right away, but yeah, it's really nice to see. It's very refreshing to see a Protoss, a pro Protoss that is like, excuse me, on top of taking the Nexuses the second that he can. Because that's like incredibly important. In fact, Sharp gets up here. He sees that 5th Nexus. Gonna run that Vulture away, just make it a little bit harder for his opponent to deal with. Where are the Reavers? Okay, so he's just got 4 shuttles. He has 1-1 coming, Observer Speed coming. I actually do not know if he has Zealot legs. I have to assume that he does. Love the quick Observer Speed, too. Excuse me. Might have a little beginning of a cold here today. But nOOB, what it looks like... Okay, he just started Zealot legs. Okay, so he actually... An engagement probably is not in the cards. You know, that is a little bit surprising how late Zealot legs are, but he actually might be right about that, just the way this game has been playing out, the speed of that 3rd command center. Like, you can take those and judge and be like, oh, of course he can't attack me, so I don't need that yet. But, yeah, like, a lot of times on this map, Protoss will set up and try to bust this area. Because, like I said, if they get a tempo advantage and hold here, it gets really tough for Terran. Now, he's going to fly in over a ton of anti-air. There is so much anti-air here. Holy crap. 1 shuttle dies before really anything comes out, but he is going to get back with the Reavers. A huge amount of missile turrets in here. Doesn't seem like he's actually getting very much done at the moment. Okay, yeah, going after some depots, that's cool, but that was like 4 shuttles, right? So that's somewhere around 40 supply that he just spent there. I would be happy as Sharp with this position. Nice. Dudded Scarab at the end as well. Yeah, you lost a few depots, but he didn't really get supply blocked anyways. And yeah, like that did not make the position for Protoss better. For sure it did not. So now let's look at what Sharp has production-wise. So he has 5, 6, 7, 8. So he has 8 factories, but he has 3 add-ons. He has 2-1 on the way, I believe. No, only +2. Never mind. He didn't get his +1 armor going yet. But that's very good production. He just blocked a huge drop. It is definitely time to take position on the map. Can he do a full attack? That's another question. Can he actually find a way to get in and kill Nexuses right now? Okay, sieges. This is a great siege position. See nOOB moving 1 group of goons over here, 1 group of goons back. But this blocks out this, and it threatens attacking both of these Nexuses. So very strong position, utilizing that high ground. The goons going towards the center. 3 more shuttles coming in. Zealots being bombed out on top of some of these tanks. Very few actual Zealots in this army, but the storms are unbelievable. Thing is, a lot of tanks there, and without Zealots to tank, you see like a lot of goon death. Definitely just a little bit light on those Zealots, unfortunately, here for nOOB. Now, Sharp is doing a pretty good job of continuing to lean on nOOB here, but he actually needs to start another... Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it. They're both doing everything like so well. Everyone's so dialed in right now. So this is like a perfectly timed additional base. He's expanding behind his pressure here. That's a really good drop on top of those tanks, though. Smashes that. Yeah, that was actually an overextension. I should have recognized that. I actually was just kind of like overwhelmed with how well they were playing, but like that little group of units out here, absolutely an overextension. He knew that a bunch of units that ran out this way, and then obviously there's double robos, so there's going to be a lot of speed shuttles. So Sharp kind of reinforcing this position. Looks like he really wants to try to clear this Nexus. I don't know that it's going to end up working. nOOB is maxed out. You know, if he loses the 5th Nexus and Sharp gets his 4th base up, Sharp is going to be winning this game heavily. Now, in come these shuttles. Quite a few High Templars in here. Not the greatest storm right there. Drops a few more up here. Okay, that's a great storm. Looks like Sharp wants to kill these High Templars off. Does miss killing one of them. But he clears that army of Sharp once again. So suddenly we're on like a 60 supply advantage here for nOOB. Sharp does not have a great setup at all. This is where nOOB can kind of run the map. And swear to God, I was just about to talk about this. Like, when you hold a push like that, you can throw down Nexuses and attack. So right now, look at Sharp's layout. It's like, okay, this is maybe attackable. This is definitely attackable. He doesn't have any entrenched positions right now. So nOOB can just run around the map real quick. He has observer speed. He can clear mines very, very fast. Sharp has to do like a mobile defense. These units, like he could spread in sieges right now. But if the army suddenly moves up here, can he unsiege and run up here quickly enough? And you can see, notice how he's moving back and forth a little bit. He's watching where they're coming. He'll move back down now. See? The mines are just kind of telling him what the goons are doing. He's reacting to it. It's like, okay, siege up a tank on the way. Okay, this is a hard position to engage. Maybe siege a tank here. Maybe come down, siege up in here. He's got to try to zone everything out because his army size is not big enough to hold this much map at once. Once he's maxed out, okay, you can mostly hold the whole side of the map at once, but, you know, you might have to send a few units around still. All right, 5 speed shuttles come in. Mostly Zealots in them. 1 High Templar and a ton of Zealots in those shuttles. Sharp rotating down with some more units. He does have 3 1 upgrades coming. Okay, just finished his armor upgrade. And here come those shuttles. Now, the Zealots being bombed everywhere. Oh, that is an excellent storm on top of the Vultures. Really worthwhile for his lower Zealot count. That's the one thing, is his Zealot counts this game overall have been kind of low. A lot of his supply has gone into shuttles. So you kind of understand he's like dropping on top of the tanks, trying to utilize a lot of Zealots that way. Wouldn't mind just a few more in the army, though. He is pretty high on probes, by the way, as well. And gonna try to maybe set up bottom right. Not entirely sure. We don't see a probe down there yet, but he does send a couple goons, which is oftentimes meaning that he wants to do that. You know, if you set up both the other corner bases in a game like this, normally it becomes impossible for Terran to win. They have to push one really quick. He's got the top left really well situated, clearing all the mines. Look at the job that nOOB is doing here. He's kept them. There's no mines on his side of the map. Sharp right now kind of laying more defensive mines. He's having to do this kind of roaming army once again. Got a few tanks sieged up in reasonable positions. Yeah, no probe down there yet. Sharp looking for anything that he can get done here. Thing is, if Sharp gets out of position for a moment, you see how he keeps running back and forth? He's absolutely 100% got to do this. He's playing this so well considering the tough position. Because as soon as nOOB hits in a location with his whole army, Sharp will end up losing. If this army was still down there, he's going to lose this base and the game's over. By the way, looks like we did get a little Psystorm drop over here while this army movement was happening. See how many kills they got. 10! 10 kills over here. Yeah, he's down to 58 SCVs. So that's well, 58's actually playable here because you're out of minerals in your main and natural. So 58 for 2 bases is actually oversaturation. It's extremely, extremely good saturation because expansions have less patches than main bases. So, like, really on 2 bases like that, 44 probes is going to be enough. But, like, yeah, anyways, he's still fine economically. But he does have to think about another base pretty soon. Bringing his army down to meet this attack over from nOOB, who, by the way, does have 3/3 upgrades. Getting his first plasma shield upgrade as well. Sharp trying to push through the center. I don't think there is any kill potential on nOOB right now. Here's what my opinion is. See this position he's in? This is pretty good. I think he needs to think about either taking this base or expanding towards the bottom right somewhere. Because I don't think he has what it takes, basically, to push in and like contain this. And in fact, even if he did, there's so many gates up here. Excuse me. He has no bank. So his cost efficiency is going to have to be unbelievably high compared to noobs. And sometimes when that's what you need, setting up a big siege line and trying to get your opponent to attack into it is going to be the best move. Now, Noob moving through the center, trying to clear all these mines. He does have some High Templars here that aren't really being utilized. They're just being attacked, moved, and dying, unfortunately. Comes down, reinforces this area. I don't know what Noob is doing with this group of goons. I don't understand it. Like, he just traded like 8 goons, 2 High Templars to kill some mines. Like, realistically, I just want to see Noob get his entire army together. Just hit one location very hard with everything. Ooh, Psystorm drop. Now, it doesn't really get that much, honestly. SCVs mostly just live through that. Sharp attacking into the 6th space location. Now, this is a strong move. Noob still has good mineral patches. It's not like he's about to run out of money, but denying one Nexus is good. The thing is, he needs to get this back up. Well, that actually has so few minerals left. Really, that 4th or that 5th base is going to be what's important here. And that can be tough for Deja Vu. Sieging up this Nexus as well. Well, if he gets this one also, suddenly we're getting pretty grim here for Noob. All right, attacks down here, clears one of those zoning areas. He had like a tank and a few Goliaths in there helping zone out. Now that's a good Psystorm drop. Holy crap. Down to 31 SCVs. Unfortunately, he did not get those with that one, but still, Sharp is barely mining right now. That being said, he did move tanks over. Great multitasking there by Sharp to be able to clear out this Nexus at the same time. Will clear that. Lots of probes starting to fall here for Noob as well. So Noob, like, this is kind of comparable to up here. In fact, a little bit more. And then he's got this base, which is quite healthy. And Sharp has this base that's healthy, but less patches, right? Now, Sharp coming in and kind of holding this area. This is a great place to set up right now. Like, he's done a very good job kind of holding up here. Now he's doing a good job over here. He's floating a command center down. Noob trying to take that bottom right. What a wild game this has been. The unit movement of Sharp has been, like, I think if you look at it strategically in the positions they were getting into, I think Noob had a pretty big window where he was really quite far ahead. And Sharp just played, like, exactly how he had to from there. But, like, when Noob cleared the first 2 pushes that tried to kill this base, I think that was a moment where it's like, okay, I really thought Noob was going to win. I actually still think Noob has a very good chance of winning this game because he does have a big bank and Sharp's supply is pretty low. But Sharp has, like, gotten himself back into this game just by great unit movement and awareness of where Noob is on the map. Now, this, not really the greatest to run in here when it's not even mining. Nothing really left there. It's kind of a worthless area. Terran doesn't really care at this point about that. In fact, that might get him to float the command center to a new base. Might actually work out. Sharp right now trying to set up a very impenetrable position for this big army. Noob maxed out with a decent bank. Don't forget, though, Sharp is mining from a couple bases right now. Okay, great EMP goes down. Not that many tanks left. Goons kind of running up away from the tanks. All right, picking off quite a few of those High Templars. Really, really well done. Well, this attack, if he gets up on top of the factories, that might end up working as... Oh, man, loses another High Templar. I was going to say, especially if he has High Templars up here kind of sieging the tanks as they try to come in to help. So very tough position. By the way, another Nexus here, but he does have a Vulture kind of denying it. More tanks popping out. Going to try to siege and push up. Noob right now up 100 supply, but still feels like Sharp might be able to win this. Noob's mining at this point very, very low. He does start to send probes down. Okay, Sharp somehow, someway clearing that army that went for his main base. So 70 supply advantage right now for Noob. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Every single tank's so important. Coming down. Oh, catching some of these zealots. You know, oh, I think that Noob has just enough to clear all this. Zealot count much healthier now than it was earlier on in the game. And you know what? I think that's it. This army cannot come down and clear that. Like, Sharp has done such a good job fighting from a tough position. But now Noob going to be able to kill off the rest of his economy. A few zealots up here at that 9 o'clock base as well. No real way to counterattack and hit the last couple mining locations here from Noob. Sharp setting up, but yeah, he's going to lose his command center very likely. Unsieges his tanks, running around a little bit with the vultures, just trying to see if he can pick off enough units. You know, you always have it in the back of your mind like, maybe he doesn't really have anything else. But unfortunately, Noob does have enough. And enough mineral patches mining that it's just not going to quite make the difference he needs. Yeah, maybe if that had hit big, that could have helped. But Sharp getting SCVs, 12 SCVs total left on the map for him. Back to mining here at 9 o'clock. And I think that's going to be game. There's really nothing left here for Sharp. GG. I got to tell you guys, that was an excellent game. I really, really enjoyed that one. I hope that you did too. Just superb play from these players. And obviously there were some mistakes. Like, I think Noob's attack into the center with the goons was weird. It felt like he was a little bit zealot light on the ground side of his army. And I think Sharp overextended here twice. And other than that, I feel like they both played like a pretty immaculate Terran versus Protoss, or Protoss versus Terran, depending on what side you're looking at. Really an amazing game. Thank you for watching. Hope that you enjoyed. See you next time.